following video, two sisters are alone at home, hiding inside a room when their house alarm starts to go off.
I'm recording. Okay. Do you hear that?
As it seems, someone had entered their home. Their security camera shows the front door open, suggesting that someone did in fact break inside. But what's strange about this is that when they replay the moment the door opens, no one is seen. It just seemingly opens up all on its own. Now at this moment, the two sisters didn't see how the door opened up. They just saw that the door was wide open, and it doesn't help that they just heard a police siren outside their house. But as if the situation couldn't escalate anymore, this happens.
What is it? Clear.
For the anything and everything
and shit
podcast, Justin and Eric.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us once again for Anything and Everything.
Hope you're back from your toilets, getting the toilet paper and wipe your butts after that one.
Right.
That was Eric's idea. If you're mad about anything, sorry about that. But if you're happy and you thought it was funny, that was my idea.
Hey, man. Nah, it was good. Just was like, check this out. And I'm like, I just don't, I don't know. Sometimes some things will spook me out. The freaky thing about that video is that it was a real video of somebody's home video, and they never did figure out what opened their door or what that little black thing was that walked by. So yeah, man, that's creepy stuff.
It creeped me out at first, and everybody else that watched it's kind of like, oh, it was just the Roomba. Oh, cool. Like everybody's all relieved, and they're like, wait, it wasn't? Well, then what was it? Yeah, and then they see the black thing, and they're like, The
thing that would across on that picture frame, I was like, that's kind of
microwave. Yeah,
that was funky. But
yeah, my son, he thought that was pretty funny. He called me an asshole, but I probably deserved it for that one.
Hey, man, that's good stuff, man. You got to get the heart going, right?
Right.
Hey, yeah.
We got some stuff for you today that talks about demons from 45,000 years into the future. So why not get your heart pumping right off the bat?
Huh?
Hell
yeah.
So yeah, our first topic is actually about CERN, and this lady says that they actually brought back demons, like I said, from 45,000 years into the future.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody. Well, hopefully, I mean, you guys can go back and check out the CERN thing, and that thing's just a trip.
Yeah, we did a topic about CERN on I think our episode 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and
so
it was a good one too.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. But it's a completely different topic about the same source, basically. So.
Right.
Also, we have a story about the Navy doing an experiment way back in the day where the soldiers were actually welded to the ships.
This is a crazy. Like I remember this.
That was crazy.
Remember the movie from my dad had taken us, and it just to get it in, and it's I tripped out. So you'll dig that one too.
Yeah, and also our global Satanists running the world right now. Ian Carroll and Danny Jones talk about it, and they make good points.
Well,
especially with all the Epstein crap
man, I was saying,
coming out.
With all this weird, dude, it makes you wonder, man. So
it's manufactured.
They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out.
Beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions.
She's not the only one talking about this. If you've seen the latest video, you know Dan Burish has been saying the same thing.
They are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead on a separate timeline than what we are presently on.
People from the future coming through open portals. I can't even wrap my mind around it. And now, to hear a CERN insider saying it out loud. But here's what's more disturbing.
When you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies. Intel, they say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
Trying to change time or changing timelines. The cornucopia was there. Tinkerbell did dot the I in the Disney intro. Pikachu's tail had a black tip, but now they say it was never there. And there are dozens of examples just like this, and every single one of them messes with my head. Lately, I feel something is off, something is wrong with time itself. I can feel it, and I know a lot of you can feel it too. I have this feeling that time is broken. It passes too fast, even if I stay and do nothing for an entire day. Okay, I know there are some scientific explanations for that, but what about the Mandela Effect? How do you explain that? This is why I had to make a part 2. To put it all together, this CERN insider talking about portals and beings coming in and out, this feeling that time itself may be broken, the Mandela effects, and all these unanswered questions and doubts about what CERN is really doing. While researching this video, I came across someone named Frank Jacob, who says,
I thought I'd do an impromptu report on something which I think is giving people a lot to be concerned about. The investigative journalist Miriam Hanine recently published an article entitled "CERN Erupts Over Portals, Particles and the Large Hadron Collider."
So I followed the link shown below, and surprise, it looks like the article was deleted. Interesting. A journalist writes an article raising concerns about CERN, and the article can't be found anymore. I searched everywhere on their site. Nothing. But I did find it eventually in the web archive, and what it said shook me more than I expected. Let me explain what was in that article, because this is where it gets very, very interesting. All of this comes from the investigative journalist Miriam Hanine. First, you need to understand what's happening at CERN. It's very important. 10 years after discovering the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, CERN's Large Hadron Collider started smashing protons together at energy levels we've never seen before. Their stated goal? To reveal more secrets about how the universe works. Let's talk about what this machine actually is. The LHC is the world's largest and most powerful particle collider. It's a circular tunnel, nearly 17 miles long, buried 574 feet underground along the border between Switzerland and France. After a 3-year upgrade, it was fired back up in April 2022, and on July 5th of that year, it began a new experiment running 24/7. For the next 4 years, at a record energy of 13.6 trillion electron volts. That's slightly higher than its previous record. They'll collect data, then shut down again in 2026 for another 3-year upgrade, before starting up once more in 2029. The price tag so far? $9.2 billion. The process sounds like science fiction. They take two beams of protons, the particles in the nucleus of the atom, and shoot them in opposite directions around this 17-mile ring at almost the speed of light. Then they make them collide. These collisions are recorded by massive detectors with names like Atlas, CMS, Alice, and LHCb. Thousands of scientists will analyze the debris, hoping to find clues about dark matter, dark energy, and what the article calls other fundamental mysteries. And almost immediately, they started finding things. Early in Run 3, CERN reported the observation of 3 new exotic particles. The article explains these could help reveal how the most fundamental building blocks of matter, called quarks, bind together. One experiment, called Alice, wants to study a state of matter known as quark-gluon plasma, a super-hot soup where atoms melt away. Scientists believe this was the state of the entire universe just a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. Another, called LHCb, studies the beauty quark, and this is where things get strange. The beauty quark is key to understanding the difference between matter and antimatter, their opposite charged twin. When matter and antimatter touch, they annihilate each other in a flash of energy. The Big Bang should have created equal amounts of both, but it didn't. Our universe is made almost entirely of matter. That imbalance, as the article plainly states, has no explanation. We exist because of a cosmic typo that no one can explain. In 2018, CERN scientists figured out how to trap it and transport it from one facility to another. The amount they moved, according to the article, had an energy equivalent of about 20 Hiroshima atomic bombs. The research here is mind-bending. They're testing whether antimatter reacts to gravity the same way matter does. This is a fundamental question. If it doesn't, it would break one of Einstein's core principles. Recent results, the article notes, show that within strict boundaries, it does fall the same way, but the search continues. All this research leads to an even bigger idea, one that feels like it's taken from a sci-fi book. The article quotes a theory. Let me read that part directly from the article. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, they could explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than other forces of nature. The search for extra dimensions is not science fiction, it is a legitimate, active area of research in theoretical physics. CERN's stated mission is to search for evidence of them. But then, the article makes a pivot. After laying out this high-level science, it states, unfortunately, the public is not fully aware of the full potential of CERN as it relates to interdimensional communication. And from this point, the tone of this article shifts. It moves from reporting on science to examining symbols, rituals, and unanswered questions. So please, stay with me. It gets really, really interesting. It mentions CERN's logo, which some say contains the number 666. Founded in 1954 by 12 European countries, CERN later expanded to more than 20 member states. It is also where the World Wide Web was invented in 1989. Then, it describes an event in 2016, a ceremony for the opening of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. That ceremony was very weird. I won't go into details here to keep this video safe. You can look into it later if you're curious. The journalist directly connects this to CERN's activity. The last time CERN was turned up to full capacity, strange things happened around the world. The Earth's magnetosphere was affected, and an unexplained spiral was observed in Norway. Then it asks the question, point blank, is there a possibility that CERN opened an interdimensional portal? What are they really looking for? To answer that, it brings in a voice from the other side, a researcher named Sophia Kay, whose brother is a quantum physicist who worked on the collider. She addresses concerns about CERN, telling, "This isn't an episode of Saturday morning cartoons. Sorry to disappoint anyone wanting to test the event horizon theory, but I think we're stuck here in this time zone for a little bit longer." She explains things in a simple way. Before the LHC was built, there were many theories about particles, but there was no method to test them outside of a computer simulation. It's very difficult to prove that certain particles actually exist. Our theories assume they do. Because of the LHC, scientists identified the top quark and the Higgs boson. These discoveries opened a new understanding of our cosmos. Particle acceleration allows us to test the fundamental nature of matter and reality. Sophia then addresses a common concern. She mentions Planck energy. This is a fundamental limit in physics. The Planck energy is a quintillion times higher than the maximum energy of the LHC. The following section has the title Black Holes and Portals to Hell. It mentions that many people distrust CERN. Regarding black holes, two particles could create a microscopic or micro black hole if they collide with energy above a specific threshold. Sophia presents the mainstream scientific position. The prevailing theory of gravity does not predict that a black hole can actually be made this way. Any competent physicist will tell you it's impossible. It would require a total abandonment of physics, quantum field mechanics, and logic. However, CERN's own official channels acknowledge the collider might produce black holes, not the kind found in space. The official position states black hole creation is very unlikely, but they allow for the possibility of tiny quantum black holes. According to sources referenced, such a black hole would decay harmlessly into ordinary particles. CERN states that observing this event would be a major discovery. They say it presents no danger and would be perfectly safe. The stated reasoning is clear. The creation of a black hole at the LHC would confirm theories that our universe is not four-dimensional, but indeed hosts other dimensions. This statement leads to subsequent questions. If dimensions exist beyond the four we experience, how do we know where these tiny black holes go? If they decay, where does that energy dissipate? CERN's man-made magnetic fields are 200,000 times stronger than Earth's natural magnetic field. This fact prompts another question. How could we be completely certain that there are no unintended effects? The article then presents research from Frank Jacob. Jacob is an award-winning filmmaker. He recently conducted a deep investigation into Project Looking Glass. His research proposes that CERN's goal extends beyond detecting extra dimensions. He claims they're actively attempting to penetrate through to the 11th dimension. Until now, the LHC has searched for mini black holes at energy levels below 5.3 tera-electron volts. A theory called gravity's rainbow suggests this energy is too low. The article quotes CERN scientist Mir Faisal. His model predicts black holes could form at energy levels of at least 9.5 tera-electron volt in 6 dimensions and 11.9 tera-electron volts in other configurations. The article notes the LHC's current run operates at 13.6 tera-electron volts. This energy is now above the energy threshold mentioned in the theoretical model. But what does this mean for our planet? Now it gets really interesting. In 2008, before the Large Hadron Collider was fully activated, a lawsuit was filed against CERN. The case argued that experiments at the collider could pose risks on a global scale, including the possibility of microscopic black holes. Around the same time, concerns were also raised in Europe from scientists and researchers. They submitted formal complaints, signed petitions, and publicly questioned whether the risks were being fully understood. These concerns were raised before the machine was switched on. The lawsuit was dismissed after the court ruled it had no jurisdiction over CERN. CERN does not operate under the laws of a single country. It was created by international treaty and is governed collectively by its member states. Because of this status, national courts do not automatically have authority over it. This is called limited jurisdiction. Legal oversight does not come from one court or one country. It is spread across international agreements and political coordination between states. Decisions are reviewed at a collective level rather than enforced by a single legal system. Think about that for a second. A machine built to push the boundaries of reality, operating beyond the reach of any national law. That alone raises questions. Who oversees this? Who is ultimately accountable? Many people have discussed the possibility of CERN opening black holes or portals. This idea has circulated for years. Sergio Bertolucci, who served as CERN's director for research and scientific computing, made an interesting statement in 2009. He said the LHC could discover things we cannot imagine. It could find an extra dimension. He described it as a door. He stated, "Out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it." He explained the door would open for an incredibly short time. The duration is 10 to the negative 26 seconds. This is an extremely small number. During that instant, scientists could look through the door. They could take something out, or they could send something in. Bertolucci concluded by saying the door would then close. We would return to our normal world. He called it a major leap in understanding nature. He said it had no practical use at that time. So, we have these elements. The public speculation about portals and black holes, an official statement from 2009 describing the collider as a functional door, research into extra dimensions and quantum black holes, a legal system that cannot oversee the project. Now, the article moves into more disturbing details. It mentions a specific incident. It places it on July 13th, 2016. A man described as a CERN physicist, Dr. Edward Mantill, was found dead in his office. The reported cause of death was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The article says that Mantill had been researching a hidden code in the movement of neutrinos traveling between the Earth's north and south magnetic poles. A colleague describes his final days, saying Mantill had not slept for several days after stepping away from his research and isolating himself in his office. After missing several appointments, he was found in his office dead. His research papers had been burned in a trash bin and his computer had been wiped clean, except for a single remaining text file. That file contained a message. Mantill wrote, "Our universe is but one page in a large book. Think of a closed book sitting on a table. You see each page stacked on top of one another, bound by the spine and sandwiched between the two covers. Our universe is but one page in a vast and all-encompassing book, and our page is certainly not the only one with rich, in-depth thought and writing committed to it. Every page in the book represents a different dimension, each with its own unique writing, own unique story, own unique way of isolating itself from the other pages. No page was to interact with the other, just as no ink bleeds from one page to another in a standard book. Each page is a universe unto itself." After laying all of this out, the journalist asks a direct question. Was Edward Mantill even real? She searched online for records, background information, and any trace of his work, but didn't find anything solid. There were no clear references, no history, no reliable profile connected to his name. I looked into it myself and couldn't find anything solid. Or maybe his digital traces vanished. Who knows? But didn't CERN help create the World Wide Web? The article closes by returning to Frank Jacob, who says that CERN is already generating energy explosions that affect the Earth's Schumann resonances. He points to the year 2029 as a key moment, saying the timetable appears to be accelerating. Interesting year, 2029, right next to the famous 2030, when everything is supposed to change, according to the World Economic Forum, based in Davos, not far from CERN. So, what do we have so far? We have insiders talking about portals and entities and mentioning that CERN is trying to change the time. We have the Mandela Effects, a lot of them. We have a growing feeling, reported by many people, that time feels different, like it's accelerating. We have a massive scientific project operating at unprecedented energy levels, exploring extra dimensions, quantum phenomena, and the deepest structure of reality. We have legal challenges that failed to stop it. We have limited oversight spread across international agreements. We have unexplained stories, unanswered questions, and one name that appears briefly and then almost disappears. And finally, we have increasing public curiosity. Enough curiosity that CERN itself felt the need to respond. On their official website, there's an entire section dedicated to answering questions from the public. A full Q&A section addressing many of the same concerns we've just talked about. Let me show it to you. The last one is quite interesting. The first one, is the Large Hadron Collider dangerous? CERN says the LHC is safe. Their argument is that the energies involved are lower than those produced naturally by cosmic rays, which have struck Earth and other celestial bodies for billions of years without observable damage. What happened with LHC in 2015, and what does CERN plan to do in the future? They say the LHC restarted in June 2015 at the energy of 13 tera-electron volts. Collision activity was gradually increased later that year, followed by a scheduled technical stop. After a successful run in 2016, the collider resumed operations in 2017, entering a new data-taking phase. Future plans involve increasing beam intensity to produce more collisions and expand understanding of fundamental physics. Why is the Higgs boson referred to as the God particle? The explanation given is that the Higgs boson is a central part of the Standard Model and was observed only after the LHC became operational, decades after it was first proposed. The term God particle was coined by Leon Lederman in a 1993 popular science book as a publishing choice. not a scientific claim, and is generally disliked by physicists. Is CERN's aim to prove that God does not exist? They say no, and that their mission is scientific, not philosophical or theological. It describes itself as a multicultural collaboration focused on studying the fundamental structure of matter for the benefit of humanity. Why does CERN have a statue of Shiva? It is said that the statue is a diplomatic gift from India, symbolizing a metaphor between the cosmic dance in Hindu tradition and the movement of subatomic particles. It is presented as one of many artworks on site. What are the shapes in the CERN logo? Official explanations describe the logo as representing particle accelerators and beam lines. The design dates back to 1968 and reflects schematic elements of accelerator physics. You can see the original logo here. Will CERN open a door to another dimension? They say it won't. While some theories involve extra dimensions, experiments are described as tools that test theoretical models rather than creating physical openings. What did Stephen Hawking say about Higgs potentially destroying the universe? It is clarified that Hawking was not discussing the work being done at the LHC. The LHC is described as observing nature at a fundamental level without influencing it. Measurements of the Higgs boson suggest the universe exists in a long-term, quasi-stable state, far exceeding any imaginable timescale. Can the LHC have an influence on weather patterns and natural phenomena? The response given is that it cannot. The electromagnetic fields generated by the LHC are contained within the magnets and are comparable to those used in medical imaging devices. Will CERN generate a black hole? The explanation provided is that the LHC will not create black holes in the cosmological sense. Some theories predict the possibility of microscopic quantum effects, which are described as harmless and scientifically valuable. I saw a video of a strange ritual at CERN. Is it real? They state, no. This video, from summer 2016, was a work of fiction showing a contrived scene. CERN does not condone this kind of action, which breaches CERN's professional guidelines. Those involved were identified and appropriate measures taken. Interesting year. Wasn't 2016 the year that tunnel in Switzerland officially opened?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. I told you that CERN stuff it's trying to break our reality, going to the 11th dimension.
That's yeah.
I thought we were in the third.
Oh, right.
Like, guess I'm dumb. Holy crap, dude! Seriously, I thought it was like a.
I'm lacking then in like.
Well, it's totally mind effing me because it's like I thought we were supposed to have a super collider out in Northeast Colorado, and I thought that's what that was. But who knows, dude? It's like that's probably why we're having all this satanic crap on the TV all the time, and it's acting like it's just normal. It's just what we're supposed to. Like he was just saying, the coronavirus
it's
stuff
like
being displayed.
It was at the Olympics.
The opening ceremony.
At the opening ceremony.
That was in Japan or something, wasn't it? Or was that in China?
Spain. It was in Spain. Was it 2012? I know it was in Spain though, but yeah, they had. I
thought it was more recent than that.
Corona freaking virus out there and all these. I was like, what the, dude? It was.
It's
I
nuts.
was like, yeah.
Like, I guess the powers that be are the ones that know what's best for all of us. So we should just hold on tight and strap it up and just chill out, watch the show, I guess.
Right.
Holy crap.
Just hold on and bend over and take it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's nuts.
Can you spit first?
Yeah, I don't want to get too technical into that because a lot of that stuff was above my intellectual pay grade.
I would say mine as well. But
I thought it was pretty interesting because we did talk about how CERN broke reality before, and how a kid was the one that said that they had done that before, and Now it's,
and
it's not just a kid anymore telling you that they broke it.
They're creating these little black holes, and
crap, man.
Black holes are doorways.
How much
somewhere,
power
right?
is too much power for the human being to have? Like,
I
mean,
think
when do they finally say, okay, I'm good? I'm just going to live in this world that's been given to me. Instead, you got to try to manipulate everything that is reality. It's insane. But I just thought that I'd bring that up because it's like, dude,
why do we always have to push that button?
Right.
Sometimes you just don't need to push the button. You just cover it up and forget it's there because we don't need to push the button.
Just leave it alone, man.
Right.
Just watch a movie or a game or something. Just chill out.
And maybe that's when, like how that kid was saying, is like, we did change something.
And he said that back in 2012.
Yeah. So,
all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the global satanic cabal.
There is a global satanic religion that does operate aspects of cults around the world. Whether you think that like Hillary Clinton is literally in it or not is a whole different like level of conspiracy. But like
a global satanic religion?
Oh yeah, dude. Have you gone down the satanic ritual abuse rabbit hole? It is so dark. So what I'm referring to specifically are survivors giving survivor testimony on video, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Like not like one guy came forward and said this, like there are whole support networks for these people. Like there are psychologists that specialize in satanic SRA victims, satanic ritual abuse. And because you have to like treat them in a whole different way than a regular abuse victim, because the level of depravity and disgusting, like literal torture of children, like literal, so, your episode is so screwed now. But there's one in particular that this guy was on the Alondra Markman podcast, and I wish I could remember his name, and we don't even want to pull it up because it's so dark. And everyone should, watch it for themselves and judge it for themselves in terms of whether you think he's telling the truth or not. But personally, it's like you can look into his life, and this guy, like his whole life is based around him recovering from this essentially story of his childhood and abuse, and it looks far more likely that he's telling mostly the truth than entirely lies to me. And what he alleges in this interview that aired like a year ago or so, a little less, on Alondra Markman's podcast, is that he was born into a satanic family, of which there are many around the world, and that he was groomed from an early age to essentially be a Jeffrey Epstein type of character in a global satanic cult that is not all satanic, but the Satanists are a part of this sort of bigger network of crime and everything. And he alleges that he was...
I'm curious how they define themselves, Satanists. Like, what is the definition of a Satanist to them?
My understanding is that some of them, based on what he said, is that some of them are literally worshiping Satan, and some of them are practicing these things in this cult format and structure. And when I tell you what he's alleging, you'll realize that are so like in the same way that like some Jews are really practicing Jewish people, and some Jewish people are. And I don't mean to say, I'm not trying to make that connection. I'm just saying that we were just talking about Jews. Some people are more practicing of a religion than others, but you might still go to church and you might still, you might identify as Christian, but you're not as Christian as the next guy. But he alleges that he was groomed from an early age, tortured every day as a child. It's like abused every day as a child, to be groomed to have multiple personalities. And then by the time he was like a preteen, he was engaging in child death matches where he would be put in a cage and he would fight to the death with another child in like downtown New York in underground like parties that rich people and businessmen would attend. And then that and it sounds so insane, but when you watch it, it's like hard. And it's not like he's the only one that has claimed this. He's just one that put it all in a particularly, like lots of people have lots of claims about this kind of shit. And he also claims that then after that, he was being groomed to be an actor, and he froze up in his acting interview. And so he got shifted from the acting pathway. Cause these guys, like there's a fuckload of money in this community, allegedly. As in, it's tied into all of the global sex trafficking networks, because how do you think that global trafficking sort of gets all the handlers and gets all of the sort of like operatives that run it, is you need people that were abused in order to run these things, because you need to be that kind of broken, like you need to be groomed to be able to run this without breaking it all.
Is this all like tied into like the Franklin scandal?
Similar, yeah. So he claims he met Jeffrey Epstein on 2 occasions. He claims that he was being groomed to essentially be a handler similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And he had a really lucid description that Jeffrey Epstein was an insanely good code switcher, is what made Jeffrey unique, that he could be completely normal businessman, like banker guy right now, and then like literally turn the other way and be an absolute depraved, abusive monster, and then like right back on like the drop of a pin. And that's what made him so unique in this guy's perspective. And he kind of like had his programming, his like trauma did not work correctly. And so rather than going that route, he became a breeder. And he alleges that he was sent to a compound in Mexico where he would breed with trafficked girls all day, every single day, for like 2 or 3 years. And they would just breed and breed and breed and breed. And he alleges that that is because they were particularly interested in him because of his bloodline and his heritage as some sort of direct descendant of King Solomon, is what he says. And it's like,
who's this dude? What's this dude's name again?
I don't remember his name. I remember that he was on the Alondra Markman podcast, and she is a survivor of satanic ritual abuse as well.
Is she Anik Lucas?
Yes, Anik Lucas.
Annika Lucas.
Okay, so
this is what.
Okay, so Alondra Markman is his name, and Annika Lucas is her name. She's the one hosting the podcast, and that's
he's the guy.
podcast.
He's the descendant of who?
So what he says in there is that they were interested in him because he has something like 97% Ashkenazi Jewish heritage or something like that, and is allegedly a direct descendant of King Solomon's bloodline. He doesn't say whether he knows that's true or not or anything. He just says that he was under the impression that that was why he got selected for the breeding program specifically. And
does he have any proof of this?
Not really, no. And so that's why I say like you should, and first, you should not watch it if you are at all sensitive in any way. And you should only watch it when you are of like a sound heart and ready to like hear some of the most dark and fucked up things you've ever heard in your life. But I
can't believe it's not like fully fucking shadow banned.
I mean, it kind of is, but not really. Yeah,
this one just came out 3 days ago.
I think that the reason it's not is because it's so unbelievable. And he's not the only one. There's so many people that have made claims like this.
It's not even, go back, hover your mouse over it, see it plays the preview when you hover your mouse over it. That means it's not even demonetized. That's insane.
Is it possible that it's not monetized in the first place, that she doesn't even monetize her channel?
Well, it still wouldn't
possible,
show it if you searched, right?
But when you demonetize stuff, when
I don't really know how it works.
So when YouTube demonetizes a video and you hover over the thumbnail, it'll just show a play button. It won't show you a preview.
Good to know. So I did a little bit of digging into him because I had the same take on it as this is so unbelievable. I got to look into this guy. And what I found is that he would have to be like an entirely fake person who is actively, his life is dedicated to pushing this narrative. Because in the sense that he has history going back to therapy, he's known her personally, like she's putting her whole like life on the line for having known him. He's been on lots of interviews and podcasts. He's like his whole sort of background, like there is lots of records of who he is and the fact that he has been talking about this his entire life since exiting the cult, so to speak. And I think that everyone should make their own judgment of whether he's honest or not and what's going on. And my perspective is not that I know he is for sure telling the truth. My perspective is just that he is a data point among many that all point towards this is at least a factor in our world.
Go back. This is Alondra's. Go to that page you were just on.
Maybe it says the same page.
That's him. That's like his current life. That's
Welcome
what he does
chaos.
now.
Friend, I've been expecting you. Sweet disorder to my order. It's hellish being a complex life form. Hellish and sweet. Come lust become.
Some lust
becomes love. Other lust returns to the earth. Swear to me that you'll complicate my life, and I'll reason with elegant simplicity that I can handle it.
I think it's a poem. He's got
poetry. Yeah, you've got to realize that this, if he's telling the truth, this is one of the most broken and then rebuilt human beings you have ever encountered in your life. Mm-hmm. He alleges that he murdered countless children as a child.
He says this?
Yeah. Because he was child death cage matches, like where rich people would pay to come into these underground fight matches in New York City, in the underground, in secret locations, and pay to watch children fight to the death.
Who the fuck would want to pay to watch that?
Well, think about Jeffrey Epstein's clientele, right? We know that that's real.
You think
right?
Bill Clinton wanted to pay to watch it?
No. Okay. I'm just saying, like, think this through as a thought experiment.
Okay.
If you have everything in the world and like lust and power, like addictions, anyone who's ever experienced any form of addiction, whether it's like to alcohol or to Adderall or to like porn or heroin, all those addictions kind of play on this sort of like this feeling, this like desire of like, oh, that just felt so good. And like whatever else is wrong in the world, like that's not wrong. And that's good. And they all kind of play on these same things. And powerful people, power, money, that lust for power, when turned towards the lusting and the greed, the darker side of power and money is inevitably an addiction as well in a lot of ways. And not everyone who's powerful and rich goes down that road, but clearly like the Epstein clients do, like clearly they want children, like they want to do, and there are snuff films, like people pay on the internet right now to watch murder, like to watch these kinds of things, because there's inherently a devil in everyone. I think the way I see it is that there is an angel and a devil in all of us, and you can feed the good wolf or the bad wolf, and some people get addicted to feeding the bad wolf. And a lot of times in a capitalist society that incentivizes greed and lust, like it incentivizes a lot of our worst behaviors, that means that a lot of the worst people will rise to the top of that system. And when you have people that are, I mean, you know, if you have 1,000 people that rise to the top of the capitalistic system in a room, one of them is probably going to be fucking evil, right? At least one. And you only need one billionaire or millionaire to be super evil, that suddenly there's a market for some really evil shit, right? Right? Because they have all the money in the world and they'll pay for it, right? What is the point of having all that money if you're not going to pay for whatever you desire? And so in a world this big, with this many rich people, with this much corruption, with this much evil in it, with people like Jeffrey Epstein in it, I think, yeah, there's totally a bunch of fucking people that will pay for some horrible shit.
Yeah.
Including the president of the United States, Bill Clinton.
Right.
And I'm not saying he necessarily went and watched child cage matches, but Alondra Markman alleges that he was a fighter in child death cage matches. And he directly alleges that he saw more, I forget his exact words, but it was like, I saw world leaders from other countries that you might not recognize, but they're definitely power. Like he alleges that he saw some very powerful people at those events.
Does he name any of them?
No, he talks it through actually in a way that kind of actually to me added credibility, in the sense of like, he's like, I'm not going to say those names because I think they're still alive, they're still out there. But he names a few people that he's like, I'm pretty sure that guy's dead, and that guy's like, I'm not really worried about that name because it's a pseudonym I know, and like it's not gonna. But he doesn't really. He's thoughtful about, if his story was true, he's presenting it in a way that would kind of be like. That's the problem. It's like, it's kind of unprovable, because he's not gonna be like, this is the guy's name and he lives at that address and that's where it was, because like then he's clearly gonna die if he's telling the truth. Yeah. But also if he's not telling the truth, then it's like,
it's a crazy fucking conspiracy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just really fucking full of shit. And unless you have some sort of evidence or some sort of corroboration to your story, I mean, a lot of people felt like that with the Epstein thing when it first happened, and then everything started coming out, and then nobody denies that, unless you're like got your head buried in the sand.
That's where
when it comes to a guy like this, it's just like,
well, everyone should draw their own. Yeah, everyone should draw their own conclusions. But I'm starting to come to the point where we've been lied to about so much, and every single time it's like, that could never be true. And it used to be like, oh, the CIA would never influence journalists. And oh boy, how far we have come from Operation Mockingbird. And it used to be like offensive that the CIA would ever influence the free press. And now it's like, bro, we have fucking like a child sexual blackmail ring targeting the president of the United States and succeeding. So that's where I start to lean towards, if I'm not sure, my bias is to lean towards the little guy that is telling on government and telling on corruption is more likely than not telling the truth. And that's not to say I believe him 100%. It's just to say that on balance, I'm more likely to believe the regular person who's putting their life out there, just being like, the CIA wronged me, this government is doing this thing. And it's not always true by any means. But I tend to sort of lean towards like, I would rather believe that person and look for more evidence, and kind of like, And this is one where there's just so many versions of that story out there.
Like, from my experience, I get like a dozen of those guys emailing me every week.
I do too, actually. Yeah, I do too. And I would argue you don't get guys like that. It's hard to say. I mean, you should watch it at some point when you got the time for it, because his body language, obviously you can't tell for sure from it. But that's where I start to like look at the Finders cult, look at the NXIVM cult, look at Jeffrey Epstein, look at the
NXIVM thing's fucking
crazy, dude. Who's the the guy that ran Virgin Mobile or whatever it was, Virgin Galactic? No, Richard Branson. There's a lot of darker people than just Jeffrey Epstein that have been caught. Am I confusing Branson with the other guy? Who was the billionaire that owned all the islands that was on camera talking about how he like wanted to breed with the black women because they had such good genetics?
I don't know.
Oh man, I forget. I think that's who it was.
You think Richard Branson, he owned Virgin. He owns Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile.
I could be confusing him though with one of the other old white-haired tech billionaires. But there's just like...
Sounds on par, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of just... There's starting to be more and more and more overwhelming evidence that Satanism... I mean, hey, let's rewind. Anton LaVey, do you know who that is?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, we know that Satanism is a religion. Like, we know that it does exist.
It's a ridiculous religion. Yeah. It's not based on anything. It's like, it's been fabricated.
I would argue you're probably correct in some ways, but also it's
and at the end of the day, it's fucking religious. Like you're fucking, like that's not what it means. Like that's not what Satan really was according to Christians or according to Catholics or according to any ancient texts.
Yeah. In the same way that like these days, a lot of religious institutions are actually just people kind of perverting concepts and using them to manipulate people to do things.
Right.
I would argue that is textbook what Homeboy is alleging in that interview is like, and it's the same thing with like any religious institution is like, yeah, there's like the belief, the word of God, the actual spiritual structure of a religion that I think is super valuable for us to have. But then there's the side of like, okay, now let's institutionalize it and control it and like give it back to you in this new way.
Dude, that is some pretty crazy stuff to have to fight to the death when you're a teenager.
Dude, well, and that's so weird because, like, you know,
I mean, with no choice.
Well, right.
It's
forced.
What you're going to do.
Right. But
it was raised into that shit. That's insane, man.
I actually went to school with a couple cats that at William Smith. And one, his name was Scott. And, dude, like, he looked like the devil.
Really?
Like, straight up. Like, when you see... I don't know, my friend Diane follows us or whatnot, but she was like, dude, that guy scares the shit out of me.
Because he looked like the devil?
Well, she knew that, he was satanic too. Like his whole family was, that's why it was like this whole story was like brought back this, it was like, ding. I was like, whoa. And,
so you think he was part of this?
I don't think, so I know that he did a ritual with some of the guys from Smith up at, there was this place called, was it Satan's House or something like off of Smoky Hill and like way out towards Aurora Reservoir, and they did.
I know what you're talking about, Devil's Playground,
something like that. But I remember hearing like they did some kind of weird ritual up there and to give themselves to the devil and all that good shit and
that's good,
whatnot. But
good for them.
Oh yeah, dude,
that's cool. I mean, I've been there too. It's just an old abandoned house.
Yeah,
like,
but
right on.
Yeah, it was
lame.
I don't know. But yeah, dude.
But anyway, this global satanic thing is kind of nuts, dude. It's like a whole background of people that are running the world. Like not just some dude from high school, but like the people running shit are running this kind of, like you said, like Ian Carroll said, you know, when people get an addiction, all they want to do is go further and further and further. And when, I can see like if you're a billionaire that had just the ultimate money and, you'd had all these addictions, all these whatevers, you'd dabbled in all the things that you could ever think of. Then you finally get bored with things and you'll start to go on to darker and deeper, crazier things. So, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, These people need to be stopped.
Right.
Man.
Yeah. This
like,
isn't, well, and
there's so many victims that are involved in this stuff. Like, where did this kid come from? And
right.
I tried to watch the video, the source video of, you know, I couldn't do it. It was a little too slow and a little too dark for me, honestly. But it's insane that, especially with all this Epstein stuff that's coming out, that how they're redacting everybody's names out of it after they told us they were going to tell us everything.
Well, I mean, I never.
And
thought
I'm not the first person to say this. I'm not the first person to bring it up, but it's getting ridiculous, man.
Well, right. Well, I never thought they were going to release all the names. I mean, they were just going to release some people that they can have go down the, you know, that are going to take it.
They got Prince Andrew.
Yeah, well.
And it's like, well, my first thought was, why is he expendable? You know what I mean? He was expendable from the throne in the first place.
Right. Well, and his brother kicked him. His brother kicked him out because
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
if they can do it, why can't we do it? Right. I mean, what?
Well,
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, you should be, you know, everybody that's involved in that whole thing should be arrested.
Yeah.
There's a little spot here I'm going to show you in a break where Whoopi Goldberg and her little hench women from The View are talking about, release the files, release them. I don't care who's in there, release them.
Right.
And then when they show them, they're like, oh, let us explain why our names
are on the files.
And that's are involved. I know that these people that are, it's not like it's a mystery anymore.
Right.
Like we've already kind of figured it out.
It's
you know, and then like Chris Tucker, somebody asked him, like, dude, we saw you on the Epstein list, and he actually was like, well, yeah, I was on there. I mean, I was on a plane and I went to this other place. These other people like Clinton, Hillary, she's like, I don't even know them. I've never met them.
Yeah.
Thousands of people have been on those planes. It's like, well, they're at your daughter's wedding.
Right. There's plenty of pictures.
In a picture standing next to Epstein, your husband, Clinton, Obama and a couple other people next to a pool. But I guess
they
don't know anything about it.
It was a doppelganger. And that's the thing is,
the
like, you know,
sad thing is there's people that will believe that.
Well, because they don't want, because they're
just like, this is what I believe. That's what it is. Doesn't matter.
They don't want to actually see the truth for the truth.
Yeah, you wanted the truth. Now you got it.
Well,
now you don't want it.
The bad thing about the whole Epstein files is like, that was his part, and now who's doing it? Who's the new Epstein?
Well, and that was something I thought of the other day was, you know, this is like a Max from Lost Boys, you know, the actual leader of the vampires,
right?
And everybody thinks that we got him when we got David.
Yeah.
And it's not the truth, man. Like
Epstein
was just the guy
at that time.
There's a whole big cabal behind all that had him just being the guy,
right?
You know, so
it's a dark and deep freaking thing that
yeah.
I don't understand, but
it's crazy. Well, there's a reason why we're called Anything and Everything and Shit. Because we talk about anything and everything. So the next topic we got is about the Philadelphia experiment. It's an experiment that Navy ran.
Right.
And, you know, it worked per se. Check it out.
In October 1943, the U.S. Navy tried to play God. They wanted to make a 1,200-ton destroyer invisible to radar. They turned on the generators. The air turned green. The USS Eldridge didn't just vanish from the radar screen. It vanished from the harbor. It ripped a hole in space and time. But when it came back, the crew wasn't the same. Some were insane, some were missing, and 5 men were buried inside the steel of the ship itself, alive. This is the story of the Philadelphia experiment, the day the Navy broke the laws of physics and the crew paid the price. Listen to me closely. What you're about to hear is going to sound like science fiction. It's going to sound like the plot of a horror movie that went too far. But for decades, people have sworn on their lives that this actually happened. We are talking about the ultimate conspiracy, a secret so dangerous that witnesses were silenced, lives were ruined, and the most brilliant scientific mind in history, Albert Einstein, was supposedly right in the middle of it. You might think you know the story. You might have heard about the disappearing ship, but you probably haven't heard about the bar fight where sailors froze in midair. You probably haven't heard about the man who jumped off the ship in 1943 and landed in 1983. And you definitely haven't heard the truth about what the Navy was really doing in that harbor. Today, we are going to crack open the files on Project Rainbow. We are going to look at the letters that started the madness. We are going to walk through the decks of the USS Eldridge, and we are going to find out if the US government really did figure out how to teleport matter and then buried the secret because the cost was just too high. Strap in. This is going to be a rough ride. To understand why anyone would try something this crazy, you have to understand the fear. The year is 1943. The Atlantic Ocean is a graveyard. German U-boats are sinking Allied ships faster than we can build them. It's a slaughter. The US Navy is desperate. They need an edge. They need a miracle. Enter the scientists. Now, we know that Einstein was working as a consultant for the Navy during the war. That is a fact. And the rumor is that he wasn't just checking math on explosives. He was working on something called the unified field theory. Let me break this down in simple terms. Einstein already figured out that gravity and magnetism are related. The theory, the unified theory, was the idea that if you could connect electromagnetism and gravity, you could manipulate them, you could bend light. And if you can bend light around an object, that object becomes invisible, not just to radar, but to the naked eye. This was the Holy Grail. Imagine a battleship that could sail right up to a Nazi coastline, completely unseen, unload its guns, and vanish before the enemy even knew what hit them. It would end the war in a week. So, the Navy allegedly approves a top-secret test, codename Project Rainbow. They pick a ship, the USS Eldridge, a Cannon-class destroyer escort sitting in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. They pack it with massive generators, hundreds of vacuum tubes, and miles of cable wrapped around the hull like a giant coil. The goal is to create an electromagnetic field so powerful, so intense, that it would literally bend light around the ship. It sounds perfect on paper, but as any scientist will tell you, there is a big difference between theory and reality. The date is October 28th, 1943. The Eldridge is sitting in the dock. The crew is on board. The scientists are in a control room nearby, or maybe on a support vessel. They give the order, throw the switch. The generators roar to life. The hum is deafening. It's a sound that vibrates in your teeth. At first, it looks like it's working. A strange greenish fog starts to rise from the water. It's not like normal mist. It glows. It swirls around the hull of the ship. Witnesses, and we will get to them later, claimed it looked like the ship was being swallowed by a cloud of atomic energy. Then the ship starts to fade. First the hull, then the superstructure. The radar operators watching their screens see the blip disappear. Target lost. Cheers erupt. They did it. They actually did it. The ship is gone from radar. But then the cheering stops, because the ship isn't just gone from radar, it's gone, physically gone. The water where the 1,200-ton steel beast was sitting is now empty. The indentation in the water is gone. this wasn't supposed to happen. They wanted radar invisibility, not total disappearance. Panic sets in. Where is the ship? Hundreds of miles away, in Norfolk, Virginia, sailors on another ship reportedly look out to sea and see something impossible. The USS Eldridge. It just appears out of thin air in the harbor. It sits there for a few minutes, clearly visible. Then, just as quickly, it vanishes again. Back in Philadelphia, the green fog returns. The hum of the generators winds down, and the Eldridge materializes back in its slip. The scientists probably breathed a relief. The ship is back. The test is over. They rush down to the dock to congratulate the captain. They expect a celebration. But what they found on that deck was a slaughterhouse. This is the part of the story that keeps people up at night. This is the part that, if true, explains why the government burned every document they had. When the boarding party stepped on the Eldridge, the first thing they noticed was the smell. It was the smell of ozone, like after a lightning strike, mixed with the smell of burning flesh. The crew was in a state of total chaos. Some men were standing on the deck, staring blankly at the sky. You could wave your hand in front of their faces, and they wouldn't blink. They were gone, mentally erased. Other men were screaming. They were running around the deck, tearing at their clothes, their skin burning from some invisible fire. They were nauseous, vomiting, completely disoriented. But that wasn't the worst of it. The rescue team found sailors who were wrong. 2 men were buried upright in the steel deck, not standing on it, in it. Their feet and ankles had merged with the molecular structure of the metal. It was as if the steel had turned to liquid. The men had sunk into it, and then it snapped back to solid rock, instantly. Another man was found with his hand fused to a bulkhead. He was still alive. He was screaming in agony as his flesh was one with the wall of the ship. And then there were the men who had simply vanished. They weren't on the ship. They weren't in the water. They were just erased, lost in the void between Philadelphia and Norfolk. The survivors who weren't physically fused were suffering from something the Navy had no name for. They called it the freeze. A sailor would walk down the hallway, and suddenly he would just stop. He would freeze in place, unable to move, unable to speak. It was like he was stuck in time. If you didn't get to him fast enough, if you didn't lay hands on him and mark him, pull him back to reality, he would fade away. He would become invisible, and then gone forever. There are stories of a bar fight in the Philadelphia Navy Yard shortly after the experiment. A group of survivors from the Eldridge were drinking, trying to forget what they saw. A bar fight broke out, and in the middle of the brawl, one of the sailors just vanished. Poof, gone into thin air. The waitress reportedly fainted on the spot. The Navy knew they had a disaster on their hands. This wasn't a scientific breakthrough. It was a massacre. They immediately classified everything. The crew was discharged as mentally unfit. They were brainwashed, threatened, or locked up in asylums. The Eldridge was scrubbed clean, the equipment was removed, and the ship was sent out for normal duty as if nothing had happened. And for 12 years, the secret held, until a man named Carlos Allende sent a package that changed everything. 12 years after the alleged experiment, Morris Jessup is an astronomer and an author. He's a smart guy. He's just written a book called The Case for the UFO. It's a serious look at unidentified flying objects using science and history. He's not a crackpot. He's a researcher. One day, Jessup gets a letter. It's written in different colored inks: blue, pink, purple. The handwriting is erratic. The capitalization is all over the place. It looks like the ramblings of a madman. The return address says Carlos Miguel Allende. In this letter, Allende tells Jessup that he knows how UFOs fly. He says they use the same technology that Einstein used in 1943. He drops the bomb. He tells Jessup about the Philadelphia experiment. Allende claims he was there. He says he was a sailor on a merchant ship called the SS Andrew Furuseth. He says he was docked right next to the Eldridge in Philadelphia. He saw the green fog. He saw the ship disappear. He saw the chaos when it returned. He wrote, "The result was complete invisibility of a ship, destroyer type, and all of its crew while at sea. The field was effective in an oblate spheroidal shape, extending 100 yards from each beam of the ship. Any person within that sphere became vague in form, but he too observed those persons aboard that ship as though they too were of the same state of their own." He went on to describe the freeze. He described the men getting stuck in the molasses of time. He described the deep freeze, where men would burn for days if they weren't rescued. Jessup was disturbed. This guy sounded crazy, but the details were so specific. The physics Allende described about magnetic fields and Einstein's unified field theory were oddly consistent with what Jessup knew about advanced theory. But Jessup didn't know what to do with it, so he mostly ignored it. Then things got weird. 2 years later, the Office of Naval Research, ONR, in Washington, D.C., contacts Jessup. They asked him to come in for a meeting. When he gets there, they show him a copy of his own book. But it's not just any copy. This book had been mailed to the Navy in a manila envelope marked Happy Easter. Inside, the margins were filled with notes, hundreds of them, written in 3 different colors of ink by 3 different characters, Mr. A, Mr. B, and Jemmy. These notes were like a conversation between 3 beings who knew everything about aliens, gravity, and the Philadelphia experiment. They talked about the LMs, little men. They talked about force fields. They talked about how the Eldridge disaster was a known mistake in the galaxy. The Navy officers were spooked. They asked Jessup, "Do you know who wrote this?" Jessup looked at the handwriting. He recognized it immediately. It was Carlos Allende. All 3 people were just him, using different pens. But here's the million-dollar question. Why was the Office of Naval Research, the top scientific branch of the U.S. Navy, so interested in the scribblings of a madman? If the Philadelphia experiment was a hoax, if it never happened, why did they go to the trouble of reprinting this annotated book? That's right, the Navy actually printed a limited run of this scribbled-in book. It's known as the Varro edition. It has become legendary in the UFO community. Why would the military waste time and money on this, unless there was something in those notes that was actually true, something they were trying to figure out themselves? This story doesn't have a happy ending for Morris Jessup. After the meeting with the Navy, Jessup became obsessed. He started digging. He tried to find out more about the experiment. He tried to find Allende, but his life started to fall apart. His wife left him. His books stopped selling. He told friends that he was being watched. He said he was receiving strange phone calls. He felt like the walls were closing in. He told his publisher that he had found something big, something that would prove the experiment was real. On April 20th, 1959, Morris Jessup was found dead in his car in a park in Florida. A hose was connected from the exhaust pipe to the back window. The engine was running. The official ruling was suicide, but for the people who knew him, it didn't add up. Jessup was a fighter. He was on the verge of a breakthrough, and coincidentally, just when he started getting too close to the truth about the Philadelphia experiment, he winds up dead. That was the fuel the fire needed. The Philadelphia experiment wasn't just a story anymore. It was a cover-up with a body count. For decades, the story was just that, Allende's letters and Jessup's death. But in the 1980s, a movie came out, The Philadelphia Experiment. It was a sci-fi action flick. But for one man, it wasn't a movie, it was a memory trick. This is where the story goes from weird to absolutely insane. A man named Al Bielek came forward. He claimed after seeing the movie, his memories unlocked. He said he wasn't just an observer like Allende, he was on the ship. Bielek claimed his real name was Edward Cameron. He said he and his brother, Duncan, were sailors on the Eldridge. He said they were in the control room when the generators turned on. According to Bielek, when the field hit, the ship started to phase out of reality. The sailors were going crazy. He and his brother ran to the deck and jumped off the side of the ship, hoping to hit the water. But they didn't hit the water. They fell through a tunnel of light. They fell through time. Bielek claims they landed at a military base in the year 2137. He describes a future where the world had been destroyed by climate change and war. He spent weeks there in a hospital, recovering from radiation burns. He claims he saw floating cities. He saw a world population reduced to 300 million. Then, he says, he was pulled back, not to 1943, but to 1983, to a place called Montauk, Long Island. This links the Philadelphia experiment to another massive conspiracy, the Montauk Project. Bielek claims the government had continued the research from 1943. In the 80s, they were using psychics and advanced technology to manipulate time. He claims that the experiment in 1943 and the experiment in 1983 had locked on to each other through a hole in hyperspace. The Eldridge was stuck in a time loop. It was being sucked into the future, and the only way to stop it was for Bielek and his brother to go back. He says the scientists in 1983 sent them back through a time tunnel to the deck of the Eldridge in 1943. Their mission: destroy the equipment, smash the generators, stop the field. Bielek says they appeared back on the deck, grabbed axes, and smashed the vacuum tubes. The field collapsed. The Eldridge rematerialized in Philadelphia, but the damage was done. The brothers were separated, identities erased, memories wiped, until the movie brought it all back. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, this guy is definitely making it up. Time travel? 2137? It's too much. But here's the thing about Al Bielek. He knew things. He knew technical details about the equipment that he shouldn't have known. He could describe the specific layout of the ship's interior, and he stuck to his story until the day he died. He did hundreds of interviews. He never cracked. He believed it. So, do we have proof? Is there a smoking gun? Well, if you ask the Navy, they'll tell you it's all nonsense. They released the deck logs of the USS Eldridge. According to the official paper trail, the Eldridge wasn't even in Philadelphia in October 1943. It was on its shakedown cruise in the Bahamas. The ship Andrew Furuseth, Allende's ship, was in Norfolk, yes, but the Eldridge never was there at the same time. Einstein's unified field theory never was completed. He died without solving it. So, case closed, right? Not exactly. Skeptics point out a few problems with the debunking. First, deck logs can be faked. In wartime, ships were often in places they weren't supposed to be. Secret missions meant falsified records. It was standard procedure. If the Eldridge was doing a top-secret test, the logs would say it was in the Bahamas. That proves nothing. Second, the green fog. While the teleportation might be a stretch, the invisibility part has a grain of truth. The Navy was doing experiments with electricity. It's called degaussing. They would wrap ships in big electrical cables and pump electricity through them to cancel out the ship's magnetic field. This was to make them invisible to magnetic minds, not to radar or eyes. But sometimes, under the right weather conditions, strong electrical fields can create St. Elmo's fire, a glowing green plasma discharge. If you were a sailor on a nearby ship and you saw a destroyer wrapped in cables, glowing green and humming, and then suddenly the fog obscured it, you might tell your friends you saw it vanish. And what about the madness, the nausea? Well, high-frequency electromagnetic fields can mess with the human brain. being exposed to massive magnetic output can cause disorientation, nausea, and hallucinations. It's possible the crew did get sick. It's possible they did go crazy from the exposure. And over time, sick from the magnets turned into fused to the hull. So what really happened on that day in 1943? Option A, a mentally unstable sailor named Carlos Allende saw a degaussing test, hallucinated a green fog, and spun a tall tale that drove a scientist to suicide and created a modern myth. Or option B, the U.S. Navy, with the help of Albert Einstein,
actually cracked the code of the universe. They opened a door they couldn't close. They traumatized a crew, killed men in the most horrific way possible, and then spent the next 80 years gaslighting the world to cover it up. Think about the Varus edition. Think about the fact that the Navy investigated this for years. Think about the consistency of the green fog reports from different sources. We know the government experimented with mind control, MK Ultra. We know they experimented with radiation on citizens. Is it really so hard to believe they tried to master physics and failed? Maybe the Eldridge didn't go to Norfolk. Maybe it went somewhere else, somewhere nowhere. And maybe, just maybe, the reason we haven't seen teleportation technology since then isn't because it didn't work, but because it worked too well, and the price was the human soul.
Bodies melded to the ships, bro.
Dude, that's like insane. It like
guess it was successful.
Well, sort of. The craziest thing is, I remember seeing going to watch a movie about that whole thing with my dad when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And
what was it called? The film?
I think it was called the film. Yeah. Okay. And it they ended up going through. Of course, Hollywood made it up, and they travel back in
we'll just have the CIA people in Hollywood make their own spin, so that
right?
We just decide that's the actual story.
That's what happened.
I saw it in the movies.
So yeah. It was
ahead,
cool,
sorry,
but no, it was a cool movie. But yeah, it followed. They go back into time into World War II and the Japanese, and then they come back, and of course, people are melted and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a government does some crazy stuff.
Guess the people that are melded into the ship, they can't tell us their story. They can't tell us what happened.
Well, there's only very few that might have. Yeah.
That would be terrible.
You're
man.
stuck in a ship, like, dude.
I mean, the things that the military has done experimentally on our own soldiers is insane by its own right.
Well, once you sign that paper, they say that your ass belongs.
But some experiments are a little
that's
more crazy than others, man.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, that one there, and I don't doubt that didn't happen.
Why isn't that on the commercial? Be all that you can be in our experiments. It's like, what the hell, dude? I'm sorry, but that is just that's some crazy stuff to see, like just the fact that there are witnesses in Norfolk that saw it. You know what I mean? And I've always had a problem with fog anyway. Like I always thought maybe something's behind that fog.
Yeah, fog is creepy, man. I mean, just
sometimes it's kind of cool, but
it always gives you that little tingly feeling.
Right.
Like, what's in the fog?
Or like the movie from the 70s, The Fog. Dude, that was a scary flick.
And then they did that other one, The Mist or whatever, with the Stephen King. That one was crazy as well, but it just, it gives you those chills, bro.
Yeah. So up next, we got a spot about black label warnings on all of the products that we've been buying daily, you know, like all the chips, all the drinks, all the candy, all the things
stuff
that I like.
Right? I'm just like,
and I've said it to Eric before, and I've said it to other people that, you know, if you want to cure cancer, then you just need to get these companies that are causing it to pay for treatment.
Right.
And we wouldn't have this problem. But I guess, you know, Maha is going after it in a different direction. They're making everybody that has all these different ingredients put not for human consumption and other things
it's that, and that one's
on their packaging, which could change the way we all buy our food. So check this out.
You know those scary black box warnings you usually see on heavy-duty prescription drugs? The ones that basically say, pay attention, this stuff could actually kill you? Well, in 2026, those labels are moving out of the pharmacy and into your grocery cart. And once you see what's behind this change, you're never going to look at a box of crackers or a healthy granola bar the same way. If you're new here, my name is Lily. I'm a certified nutrition health coach. And y'all, we are in the middle of like a total health revolution. It is changing so quickly, I'm having a hard time keeping up over here. But today we are going to cover the 3 massive changes happening right now in the food world. 1, the not recommended for human consumption label, a new labeling law that is honestly making me laugh. I think it's hilarious. But for big food companies, they are furious. They're literally trying to sue to stop it. Secondly, we'll cover the global magnifying glass, why Canada and the US are putting little magnifying glasses on your food. And lastly, we'll cover the secret cleanup and lawsuits, how big food is fighting to keep you in the dark, meanwhile changing their product recipes. So whether you're a label reader or someone who just wants to be able to buy their food without needing a chemistry degree, well, these 3 changes affect everyone walking into the grocery store today. And my goal is to help keep you guys informed with all of the changes in our food supply and how to live your healthiest lives. And if you appreciate this kind of content, then don't be silly, subscribe to Lily, and let's jump in. The first big change is the not recommended for human consumption label. In 2025, Governor Abbott signed Senate Bill 25, the Make Texas Healthy Again Act. Now, if you don't live in Texas, you might be thinking, okay, so what does Texas have to do with me? I live in Missouri, or someone lives in California. But the thing is, this law is changing how Big Food labels their food. And a big food corporation doesn't want to have to change just the way a box and a label is for Texas, and then make their boxes all different for other parts of the country. Instead, because Texas has such a massive market, whatever Texas ends up doing, the rest of the country ends up getting the benefits, eh? Thank you, Texas.
Texas could change the way Americans eat snack foods nationwide, requiring a warning label on many popular food and drinks, reading not recommended for human consumption.
That could impact candies like Skittles and M&Ms, chips, including Doritos and Ruffles, and drinks like Gatorade and Mountain Dew.
It's targeting products using ingredients like bleached flour, food dyes, sweeteners, oils, and preservatives. Those are legal and common in many processed foods in the U.S., but some have faced regulation in other countries.
I believe that the rest of the nation will look to Texas and say, they're onto something. And just maybe we can curb the trend of us spending more on healthcare than any other nation in the world.
This law targets 44 specific chemical additives like Red 40, Yellow 5, and titanium dioxide. This law requires a warning label that says, warning, this product contains an ingredient that is not recommended for human consumption by authorities in Australia, Canada, the EU, or the UK. I don't know why I find that so funny. Honestly, I guess it's supposed to be really sad that they would be incorporating ingredients in their products that are naughty. But, you know, I think at this point I gotta just find the humor in it.
Most food dyes are made with synthetic petroleum-based chemicals. They have no nutritional value and are only used to enhance the colors of food. Kellogg's cereals, including Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks, contain yellow 6, yellow 5, red 40, and blue 1. According to the Cleveland Clinic, red 40 can lead to hyperactivity, including ADHD, behavioral challenges like irritability and depression, skin irritation, and migraines. The other dyes have been shown to have negative side effects.
If you really think about it, the wording is so particular. It's not like they're saying you have to put a label that says contains artificial food dyes or a label that says low in nutritional value. Instead, it's literally a label that says not recommended for human consumption. This is what we're calling the black box of the grocery store. Traditionally, the black box warning was reserved for the most dangerous prescription drugs on the market. But now that same level of seriousness is hitting the food aisles. And sometimes I do wonder if by adding new labels to packages, if it's actually going to change how people shop and what they consume. Are people really going to stop buying things like Fruity Pebbles? I can't help but think that if a mom is reaching for some fruit snacks for her kids and sees this warning label of not recommended for human consumption, I do think it's going to be a psychological game changer. I mean, I know for myself, back when I used to eat more foods that were ultra processed and I was struggling with weight gain, acne, and irregular menstrual cycle, I was eating foods with these 44 ingredients every single day because I thought that if a food was on the shelf, then it was safe. But this law is now putting the truth front and center. You can't miss it. And so I really do hope that these black boxes are going to start changing how people shop and what we consume. That brings us to our second topic, the global magnifying glass front of package movement. As of January 1st, 2026, Canada has now officially flipped what's going on. And now if a food is high in sugar, saturated fat, or sodium, it now has to carry a little magnifying glass on the front.
Cereals, drinks, and other prepackaged foods in Canada's grocery stores will soon have the symbol of this black and white magnifying glass. It signals customers about foods that are high in fat, high in sugar, or high in salt. Food companies have until January 1st to apply the front label. It's an addition to the nutritional value table that's much easier to read.
It's simple, it's visual, and it interprets the data for you. And even though this is happening in Canada, at this point, the MAHA movement and RFK Jr. are finalizing this similar kind of label here in the US. If a food is high in sugar or sodium, it will get a symbol on the front of the package as well. We are finally treating ultra-processed foods with the same caution that we give to pharmaceuticals. One of the biggest targets of these new high sugar or high sodium labels are sports drinks. You know, the ones that are neon blue and are basically sugar water with the side of red 40. Red 40, the artificial food dye linked to hyperactivity in children and banned in other countries. Yeah, I don't touch any foods, sports drinks, or sodas with artificial food dyes in them. Instead, I use Element Electrolytes, today's video sponsor. I'm very picky about what I put into my body, and with Element, they don't have any of the 44 black box targeted ingredients. They have no red 40, no titanium dioxide, no synthetic preservatives. Instead, Element is full of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which has been a total game changer in how hydrated I feel. Having less eye twitching, less cramping, feeling like I'm just more energized, and helps prevent those afternoon brain fogs. And so if you'd like to help support this channel and try a clean way to stay hydrated, you can get 8 free packets of Element's most popular flavors with any order using the link in the video description, drinkelement.com/LilyKane. They also offer a money-back guarantee, so if you try it and you don't like it, you can get your money back. My personal favorite flavors are the watermelon, but also I like to put the chocolate salt and the salted caramel salt in my yogurt, and it's super yummy. All right, let's move into the secret cleanup and lawsuits. Unsurprisingly, Big Food is losing its literal mind. They are doing 2 things. First, they are suing. They've filed massive federal lawsuits claiming that by telling you an ingredient is not for human consumption, that's a violation of their free speech.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
They're literally fighting for the right to keep you in the dark. Big Food's argument here is basically, we have the right to put chemicals in your foods without you feeling scared about it. But the MAHA movement, led by RFK Jr. and HHS Secretary Marty Makary, they're saying that the scare is actually just the truth. For decades, these companies put the artificial food dyes and other funky chemicals they're adding to their products in tiny font on the back of their packages. And now the truth is being dragged to the front. And so the second thing that big food companies are doing is they're changing their recipes. Have you noticed lately some of your favorite snacks having the label new recipe or even now made without artificial food dyes?
Introducing Simply Naked. PepsiCo removing the artificial dyes from Cheetos and Doritos, making them totally colorless. The idea here from the company is that they are reinventing some of its most iconic snacks, Doritos and Cheetos, 2 types each, and they're basically removing some of those artificial dyes and flavors.
Yeah, that's not because these companies care about your health all of a sudden. It's regulatory avoidance. These companies are slowly removing these 44 ingredients from their recipes so that way they don't have to put that scary black box warning label on the front of their package. So in a weird way, it's kind of like those black box labels are already working without being fully implemented.
Kellogg's will stop using the food colorings by 2027. The company told Straight Arrow News, "We see the growing focus on health as an opportunity to meet consumer needs in even more meaningful ways." Companies including Kraft Heinz, Hershey, Tyson's, and others have made verbal commitments.
Now, again, not necessarily because Big Food suddenly cares about your health, but either way, it's working and I'll take it as a win. A lot of people don't know that Goldfish crackers are 68 years old. Cool Whip is 60 years old. Doritos chips are 62 years old. The majority of foods in the grocery store now that people think of as normal didn't even exist for our grandparents. And so for the past 70 years, we've been told that these foods, they're totally fine. And now we're finally having some labeling on the package that is telling the truth. 2026 is the year where the food industry finally has to show their cards. Now, whether the FDA actually makes these laws mandatory across the country or whether the big food industries win their lawsuits, it really doesn't matter at this point because the cat is out of the bag and people are now starting to ask, wait, what is this in my food? The black box movement isn't about the government telling you what to eat. It's about restoring the choice that was taken away from us for 70 years. But you know what doesn't get a black box warning label? The ribeye steak, the pasture-raised eggs, the blueberries. While big food corporations are trying to explain why their chemicals are safe for you and your family to consume, real food is just being real food. It's just one ingredient. It doesn't need a label. It has nothing to hide. We don't need to have these magnifying glass and black boxes on real food. Real health is built by stepping outside the system and just getting back to the basics.
What the?
Dude.
Like, really? Did you see the Frosted Flakes?
Cookies and cream frosted.
I've never seen them on my shelves.
Strawberry.
I've never seen those on my shelves. Never seen it. Where has this stuff been all my life?
Seriously.
I'm like,
I thought Texas made rules for everybody.
Right?
I thought we were going to all get to share in the love, man. What happened here?
I want to at least to try that.
I don't care if they look like cardboard. If they taste like some cookies and creams, Frosted Flakes, I want to try some.
Dude, for reals. Come on, man.
Seriously.
I feel cheated in life.
Listen up, people. I am here, and I want to help. This is our planet. Can I get a hurrah? What, am I invisible? Doesn't anybody care? Listen to me!
I want one with relish.
And I want mine with, mustard. I want you to stop this insanity. What do you think you're doing?
I'm trying to make a living here.
And the planet is dying? Listen. I can't get a pulse.
What the hell are you talking about?
There are 50,000 hot dog cows in Kansas alone.
So?
When those cows break wind, not only is it stinky, but it's cutting a hole in the ozone. Think of those hot dogs as 1 cubic foot of cow gas. Bon appetit. That's it. See? We can make a difference.
I'll make a difference in your face if you don't get out of here.
Oh, the truth hurts, doesn't it, Captain Carnivore?
Okay, little Ricky, now break the piñata.
No! Parents, don't do it. Don't teach the children how to kill. This is genocide.
This is a birthday party. Would you get lost?
Smoke screen, so the truth cannot be seen. Listen, kids. First you hit a piñata, next thing you know, you're clubbing baby seals. This is real, children. These are the killing fields. The piñatas are piling up. Are you with me? To hell with you then.
Hey, man. If you don't get out of here, I will call the police. I'll whip your ass.
You've been eating hamburger, haven't you? I swear I could just strangle you. Whose is this?
Hey, man. Give me the ball.
Do you know what's in this thing?
Air.
Of course there's air. Lots of air that we could be breathing. Free the air. Hey, go little airs, go. Go, hurry. Fly away. Fly away.
You're crazy. Give me my ball.
Good boy, Bruiser.
Oh, you poor ignoramus. What are you doing?
I'm taking care of my dog's business.
You can't put his duty in a plastic bag. It's not biodegradable.
All I want to do is get rid of it.
No! Save the feces to feed the planet. You people make me so exasperated. You could just rub your nose in it, but it'd be such a waste. By the way, cut down on the kibble. Oh! Thank you, you're here.
What seems to be the problem?
The problem is I'm trying to teach these people how to embrace the planet, and they're not listening. It's insanity. I swear, it just makes me crazy. I wish somebody would just reach out and do something. I'm running out of breath.
Listen, I don't want any trouble. So why don't you just move along?
Does somebody have a camcorder?
All right, that's enough.
Don't touch me. I'm a vegetarian. We've got to stop them, people. We've got to stop them. We all have 5 pounds of undigested butt cake in our colons. You're only as clean as your colon.
Strange facts you may have never known.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So this is a good one. So a buttload, and it's a term I use quite frequently sometimes in my life because it's just a fun thing to say.
There's a whole buttload of trash.
Yeah, a buttload is an actual historical measurement. It is 125 gallons of wine. That's a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wine.
125 gallons. Like, is considered
that's pretty much what they drink at the company party every year.
Right. A buttload.
buttload.
That's a buttload of wine.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that.
That's crazy. You know, I mean, I've never
what's
actually.
a butt?
I don't know. What? I'm not even going to go there.
We didn't go down that rabbit hole.
We'll leave that one for another day and another dollar.
That's crazy. A buttload.
Buttload. So, yeah. So
it's
there
a
you
whole
go.
123 gallons of wine.
A historical measurement. So there you go.
Oh, historical measurement.
It's a historical measurement. So it's, been used quite historically.
I think I'm still confused. What was the butt? The butt of what?
The butt of what? Butt of wine? Butt I don't know.
Joey Buttafuoco.
Joey Buttafuoco. Hey, Joey.
It's a butt of wine.
Butt of wine.
This is a butt of wine.
Shit. Well, you know.
I don't know, but that's an odd one, man.
Yeah, that's a very odd one.
That's a whole buttload.
All right.
So now you can't just say, like, I got a buttload of work to do because people think you're going to get all drunk on wine.
That's a lot of freaking wine, man.
Dude.
125 gallons. And why
would you said
123?
123.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
Okay. We want to specify because we want to make sure everybody knows what they're saying when they say buttload from now on.
From now on,
yeah.
When you say buttload,
yeah.
You're talking about wine.
No buttload of fish.
No buttload of fish.
No buttload of work.
No buttload.
No
buttload of wine.
Buttload of dirt to move. No nothing. Can't be no buttloads no more. Unless you're talking about getting drunk.
Tore up.
Man, I don't know, dude. Wine, whenever I was drinking,
that
wasn't ever my friend.
Towards the end of my little stint, it was because it was just there to drink. So I was like,
I tried that once because it was there to drink. Yeah. That was... Yeah. Anyways,
people.
You guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us again. Don't forget, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio.
We're out there,
We're on
people.
Apple Podcasts now. So, we're everywhere. If you want to check us out, we're all over the place. You don't want to watch us, that's fine. You can listen. If you don't want to listen, that's fine. You can watch us.
Right.
We're everywhere now.
Everywhere.
And we appreciate everybody that subscribed and liked everything, commented, sent in for stickers. We've sent out quite a few now, and I appreciate everybody that's reaching out and pressing the love, man.
Let us know if you see them, too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment,
sure.
Like, hey, I saw a sticker somewhere.
I saw your stickers, man.
I wonder how those got there.
Right. Right on. You guys have a great one, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.